Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child are probably two of my favorite authors because they co-write really well together. They have done a 22 book series about an FBI agent who covers supernatural murders, and I love them. And I'm planning a book review series on that series. But they've branched off into a second series of books featuring side characters from their main FBI agent series. And I read the first book in this new series last week titled Old Bones. And it's really well done. It's again in their murder mystery style. And the really cool thing about Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child is they interweave their fictional narrative with facts. Every story has some sort of basis in a historical situation. This one happens to deal with the Donner Party, and it centers around the excavation of a supposed third camp. There were two camps that the Donner Party set up that we know about historically, but in this book there was a supposed third camp that was wanting to be excavated, and there was talk of buried gold that would fund this dig. And this book centers around the excavation and discovery of the cannibalism that took place back in the 1840s, as well as a current murder plot involving the living ancestors of one of the families that were camped there. And it brings together this old tragedy and this new murder mystery involving the FBI and again a side character from the main Pendergast series named Corey Swanson, and an archaeologist named Nora Kelly, again featured in the main Pendergast series. And these two women are working their excavation / murder cases and it kind of the stories go side by side together until nearly the end of the book, where they kind of converge and meet in this really interesting plot to create a bioweapon out of what's called prions in DNA of this ancestor, this man named Parkin, who was part of the Donner Party. And everybody who ate this man named Parkin went crazy afterwards. And it was only the people that ate this man that went insane. And everybody that was involved in this murder plot that Corey was investigating had been stealing or stealing from the graves of Parkins, or kidnapping living Parkins for their DNA to get access to these prions to create a bioweapon that would not be defeated via normal vaccines or antivirals, and that it would be a prion based weapon. And again, these little bits of science that actually exist are interwoven into these fictional stories, and they do it really well. And you can tell that one of them probably does the researching and the compiling of the information, and then they kind of work together into the really macabre murder mystery style that they like, because they get very descriptive in their gruesome details, but it's not obtuse and gross the way that Stephen King would do it. It's really interesting to describe the way that I don't want to say it's tastefully gruesome, because like there's nothing tasteful about it. Like they get uncouth, right? They get violent, but it's not the like reverence of violence that Stephen King portrays. Like it feels like they're still a little bit dissociated from it, where they're like, yeah, this is incredibly fucked up that we're writing. It doesn't feel like they actually want to do it. You know, the way Stephen King writes, you're like, should we be looking for bodies? But the way these guys write, it's very, you can tell these are guys that just like to write fucked up stories, but they still have a grounding in fact and history. And the way that it's done with this, it was really well written, really fascinating interweaving. The only problem is I listened to it on Audible, and the narrator they picked for this book was awful. They picked a female narrator. Her name is Cynthia Farrell. And oh my god, the way that she forces her voice to go down when she reads male parts is terrible. You can tell her throat hurts after every time she reads a male part, 'cause she sounds like this. Like anytime when she was doing Corey Swanson's field training officer, she would be like, Agent Swanson, come here, please. Like, you could tell her voice was just aching every time she read. I'm like, why do female narrators have to do that when they're reading male parts? Like, men don't talk like this when they narrate women. So why do women talk like this when they narrate men? Like, I don't understand. And it really took me out of the story. I wish they had let somebody like Scott Brick narrate this book. And I'm sad because the next installment, The Scorpion's Tale, is also narrated by Cynthia Farrell. And I'm just like, no, why? Why, God? So 5 out of 5 for the writing and the story, but like 2 out of 5 for the narrator. If you guys are going to read this book, read it in print. That's all I have to say. Read it in print for the love of God. Or if you're blind, get a Braille copy. Just get a Braille copy. I'm telling you, it will be so much better. But other than that, amazing book, and I can't wait to read The Scorpion's Tale. So check out Old Bones by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. But don't do it on Audible. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.